All right. Today is November 29th, 2022. I took a few trades today and we'll talk about them in a sec. Let me just pull up my higher time frame. Uh, four buys, three sells, four buys, two sells, and only one trade would have worked out, but I went break even. So I didn't actually connect today with anything, which is okay, but I did understand what's going on and intention. And so let's talk about that. And I think this is the most interesting chart of all, which is the 1 hour. So this is EU 1 hour. This right here was a buy primary. Okay. Let's discuss this. Okay, so we know we're in a sell primary, high time frame sell primary. We came up, we had one reaction. We came up, we had a second reaction, and we built a buy primary right before we were coming into that second reaction. That became a transitional. Basically, what happened is, and we see this a lot, they'll create a buy primary right as they're entering into a sell primary. They do that, I believe, for liquidity purposes. Now, in this instance, it's interesting because we've got back to back. We've got one and we've got two. So we could actually just be coming into here for a reaction that's going to keep going up. If this was just one buy primary and it's been taken out like this, I'd be very interested in shorting and saying that we're going to be pulling lower prices. But because of that second primary, I can't say that just yet. So we're going to see and watch and wait for the reaction and see how things go. But nevertheless, we have had one reaction two reactions actually, sorry. We've had this first reaction which broke structure. We've had this second reaction which did nothing, did not do anything at all. There was no structure to break and it didn't do anything except for stack and move money into a certain area. This, like I said, this buy primary here became a transitionary range. Why did it become transitionary? Because price pushed through. It activated the moment of breaking structure here. So this range is now playable for an immediate RIMC. We were expecting this. We've got this as our buy primary. Price shot up and we were expecting the reaction. A reaction out of the primary and then to at least have some sort of reaction up. If it doesn't break structure, that's okay. Just some form of reaction. We had no reaction. What that means is it becomes a transitional order block. A transitional order block is something that will react to after the effect. So it's kind of like this. I call them Toblerones, TOB for short, transitional order block. And so in this area that I've got identified as purple, fully unmitigated. And so I had a huge expectation for price to come back into this zone and to sort of hang around, mitigate in and out. There's quite a few orders in and around this area, and especially in that buy primary that formed. So it's logical that this is going to be the area we're going to see this sort of reaction and exactly what we're experiencing right now. And I'll be honest, in hindsight, I wish I did sort of stick out of the market today. I kind of felt it when I started to see this today. I kind of felt like this is just sort of rangy kind of stuff, and it is a lot harder to trade. It's not impossible to trade at all, and I've traded it successfully before, and I've gotten today some really good insight and some good opportunities. Put myself in a good position for at least 1 10-hour. So it's not at all an impossibility. It's just messier. It's just not as clean as if we were in the initiation phase. If we're in the initiation phase, we can kind of figure out our ways of getting in on the lower time frames. But when we're in this kind of ranging phase, it's hard to know where your highs and your lows are and where price really is going to stop. Something I remember from NJAT when I was a member there is that they would say, always play the edges. Always look for edge plays. So because when you're in a tight range or in any range whatsoever, edges are typically what's taken from both sides. You know, so play your edges, play your last known unmitigated. I don't personally listen to that anymore. That was, whether or not that's good in my trading or not in the future, maybe I'll integrate it, but it's not something I personally follow. But if you are into playing ranges like this, that is sort of some good advice. Okay, so there's that 1 hourly look. So we know we had that reaction, and we are expecting a push down because we have broken this sell primary. Excuse me. We have broken the buy primary, which was here, right? And then we've created a sell primary. So what do we expect from a sell primary? This is our current bias, and we have to absolutely anticipate it, which is we expect a reaction, a RIMC, basically, RIMC, and away. And we've gotten that. We've got this complex range that basically ranged took liquidity from in here. So here was the mitigation, so good area for the mitigation. And they've broken structure to the downside. So everything's playing out as we expected it. As price has broken structure, it's immediately retraced, come back in. Why? We're going to need to see what's in here to be able to sort of discover what that's all about. But so let's go to the 5 minute then. So I wake up at I'm at the charts, I should say, at 7. I'm up a lot earlier, but I'm at the charts about 7 a.m. And so I've analyzed all of this and just sort of checked it out, what happened sort of from yesterday and while I've been asleep. And I've identified this large sell primary. I would have liked this sell primary to have finished forming here, right? A to B, one clean move, took liquidity from this range that broke structure. So, and then I would have liked to have seen this right here just break down. That would have made more sense to me if we were going to create a sell primary in this area. Price came straight back up from the low here, broke structure, just slightly broke structure, and mitigated there, and then proceeded to break structure down to the bottom side. So it created this kind of sell primary that was unexpected in a way. It came up, came down, came up for a little bit more, then came back down. So we can't use the low. We cannot say that this is the sell primary. I cannot say that that is the sell primary, even though it was the last leg that made the move. And the reason is because it wasn't this that took the liquidity from here. It was the start of the move was here. And I don't know if this is going to be very significant or not. But it could be, and it's how I'm analyzing it and choosing to analyze it, that the start of this primary formed here. Then, as we get into this, seeing sort of how we initiated away, thankfully, they actually did create a sell primary inside of it. And that's really good news because it kind of gives weight now to this. This sort of looks, it's funky. There's something's up with it, right? We took liquidity again, second time. Didn't take out a different range on the second time. It's sort of, it was just curious. That's the word I'd use, curious. So having this create before the break here was absolutely fantastic because it gives us an ability to play off of it with some confidence. So we got a range here. They came up, they took liquidity, they broke structure to the downside, forming two sell primaries, one higher time frame and a smaller one that happened same time frame but within the primary. So a primary within a primary. So I'm waking up, I see all this, and I see that we've had a reaction, broke out of it, had a reaction, but hadn't broken out of here, right? So I know that this area is going to carry weight. I know that this area is going to have some form of a reaction, possibly deeper, that could hold. And this is kind of what we had right here, right? So I see this sort of push up here, and it's the first reaction into the sell primary and the move away. Wish I was a part of that. I was asleep, or not at the charts, whichever may be. And then I see this, and this was sort of during my hours, where they come up, take liquidity, right? And again, I'm still expecting this reaction back into this order block. I know that we should experience a reaction from it. And they do. They take liquidity, and then they start initiating sells. So let's go over to our lower time frame then. Around this area, we're going to look at what's going on. And just to read these out loud for you guys, this sell primary has had two reactions, but price keeps coming back. It could be being wiped out, right? This is one way to look at it. Boom, it's come in, comes back in, right? Why do we come in for a second time? It's not strong, is it? If you have an order block and you work your way up and you come back in, have a reaction, then you come back for more. Is that a strong kind of a move, or is it weak? Well, the only way I can sort of say about it is it could be both, basically, right? You could be that we just needed more liquidity from and around this area, and they had to take it for a second time. Or it could be weak. It could be we could be actually wiping it out, right? So we've got to keep this in mind. Don't forget we are bouncing, right? Let's go to our that back to the 1 hour. Don't forget we're bouncing potentially from this primary. You know, what are primaries created for? We had 2 back-to-back primaries. You know, that's interesting, isn't it? That's interesting. We'll just say it like that. So that's what that's how I'm reading the market. I'm reading the market that we could actually have some buy strength here as well. And let's not forget that. And so as we can see, the reaction down, what would we have expected? If this was a strong reaction, they've just taken all the liquidity from this order block. Would we not expect a break of structure down here? And what happened? It came to the bottom, came to the low of it, the origin, and then boom, came straight back up to another order block. So it's not showing me massive amounts of strength. So then we had these 2 reactions, right? 2 reactions inside the primary. So now let's go to our lower time frame and see what's going on. So as we were entering into that sell primary, the higher time frame sell primary, it's kind of in this area. In fact, I'd like to pull it over. It's going to look huge, but it doesn't really matter. So as we enter into the sell primary, we don't know where it's going to stop. We can guess. We can look over on this side here and sort of see, is there another sell primary we could react out of? And as I was watching what was occurring, I start to see this kind of thing happen. Range, initiate, break a structure, comes back in, takes the low, and breaks up aggressively into the sell primary, high time frame sell primary. It does not matter that that's a higher time frame sell primary to me. If I've got a setup like this, I know we could be doing zone wipeout. So I'm very interested in playing it. Notice how there was no reaction. Here's the open, right? There was no reaction, no reaction, no reaction, no reaction. Then we start seeing this reaction, right? And where did we see it from? The origin order block. So immediately as I start seeing that bounce up and away, I want in. So I enter in here. By the time we get up here on break even, boom, gone. So a break even right there, but following intention, sort of understood what was happening. So it's okay. I'm looking for another opportunity. Range, initiation, break a structure, comes back in, does the exact same thing, takes liquidity, and breaks to the upside. I would have liked to have seen a break in structure, but we didn't get it right there. And this is when I'm just like, well, I just want to enter under liquidity. I see liquidity stacked here, this candle here. And so I place my order immediately below it, and boom, I get taken out for a -1R. That was unfortunate because if you actually look where my stop was and everything, if this was futures, I'd probably be still in it, right? Because it didn't actually click to the tick like where my stop was. And in hindsight, yeah, I should have my stop, somewhere below it. I absolutely should. Doesn't matter. It's following intention, and it was a correct read on the market, and that's all that really matters to me. As soon as this buy primary got taken out, I knew we had basically had a momentum shift of sorts. So that's when we're going to start flicking over to our sell side, right? So now I'm thinking, okay, we've come in, we've mitigated, we've had a mitigation. I can see that this range here, which was actually a sell primary, was actually used as liquidity in this instance, because I was more sort of interested in playing off of this, but no opportunity was forming. No opportunity formed. So now this makes sense to me. Oh, it's just stacking cause for this mitigation. Mitigation occurs, and then we start seeing sell primaries come in. Range, initiation, no breaker structure. That's why this is weak. This is unfortunate. No breaker structure here. But we did form a sell primary. And with that other primary getting taken, the buy primary gone, it was all the weight we needed. So as soon as we get this formed, I'm like, okay, I want to get my entry at the very top here above liquidity, and price just initiates away. And so I didn't have any opportunity to get in at origin. No big deal, following intention. I understood what was going on. Range, initiation, break of structure. It was minor, comes back up, takes liquidity, and then breaks from the bottom. This is the best setup I'm just analyze this on your charts. I'm just going to give you, this is the golden nugget of this video. If you haven't got like a trading plan, if you haven't, if you don't know really good entries and stuff, look at this on your chart. Okay. And we'll just talk about this real quick. Range, initiation, breaker, structure. Okay. The structure doesn't have to be here. It doesn't have to be the bottom structure. Just look for this, where it breaks structure that was from something a while ago on the left-hand side of your chart. It could be even that it's this range here, range initiation, and the break of structure is all the way over here, right? It doesn't matter that that's the case. These are the best high probability setups, in my opinion. And this is what I love to see. Range, initiation, break of structure, comes back in and completely takes out that range that broke structure. This is range initiation, break of structure, mitigation, continuation. It's what we should be, right? That's what we've been trained with SMC, that order blocks have to hold. And so what does it do? It mitigates something. What does it mitigate? This is the other part of it, but this is getting complex now, and this is what you have to apply into your trading. What the fuck did it mitigate? You might be looking here and going into, let's pull this on replay. Let's pull this on replay. Let's go down to 5 seconds. Right? You might be saying, range initiation, break structure. This has come up, right? Let's just, there it is. Okay. You might be saying, okay, so we've mitigated this. I'm just looking here. Look through the looking glass, right? This is strong. This is initiating. This is 5 seconds, yo. Look what it's initiated into. What was here? What's it mitigated out of? Sorry, not initiated into. What's it mitigated? Range, initiation, break of structure. This is a valid order block, right? That has only been mitigated. Let's draw it. Let's draw it together. By order block, right? We all understand that. By order block, mitigated down to this point. This candle brings it back down to here. You could now say that it's now going to be, it's still a buy order block, but as soon as price zips through it with speed and aggression, not spending any time mitigating in or out of it, we can say with confidence that this is now a transitional order block. And you can see how this candle here mitigated it to right about this section here. So now we've got this area of interest, right? Pull out to 15 seconds. Range, initiation, break a structure, very important to have some kind of structure broken on this side. Price then comes in, takes from that and mitigates something. Now it doesn't have to mitigate a transitional. It has to mitigate something, an order block. An ideal order block, one that you can see, would be sort of have more weight. It would be range, and then they initiate away, break a structure, right? That's the kind of order block we were looking for. But this was a transitional order block, which train your freaking eyes. Start looking for them. Anytime you see price zip through, look left and go, what did it zip through? Because there's a damn good chance you're going to come back to it. And so SMC traders, they're all up here. Oh, price didn't come back to origin. Who gives a fuck, dude? Transitionals. Learn. All right. Boom. Let's play this out. This is just gorgeous, bro. This is a gorgeous setup. Range, initiation. Let's put up our liquidity so we know where liquidity is. And because we broke structure, it was hardcore liquidity is what I call it. Softcore and hardcore liquidity, right? Range, initiation. Here's our liquidity. They came and took liquidity, then they broke structure. Now you're at liberty to play. You can play this range all the live long day. If it's small enough, enter immediately at the low. If it's not small enough, then you've got to do a little bit more. Then if it's not tight enough, then you can just literally just put your stop wherever you want it. But, at the top, you cover the high kind of thing. Lo and behold, what happens next? The exact same thing again, but on lower time frame. Range, right? This is a range candle. Does anyone recognize this kind of candle? This is what? A doji, it's a hammer, whatever kind of a candle you represent that to be, that is a range candle that broke structure on a very low time frame. So I call that a range. You see all this empty dead space in here? That's IPA, inefficient price action, and it broke structure. Immediately comes back in, and what does it do? Takes the liquidity from above here and pops down again, breaking structure. I'm in. That's all I needed. I had an order set right here. All right. This is where my original order was, because that's all I needed. As soon as I got this breaking structure here, prices come up, broke there, boom, order filled, order set, whatever happens on your charts, right? Order, right here. This is where I wanted in. I wanted to protect my stuff. I didn't get it, so I had to wait for something. And so I'm on a lower time frame. I'm looking at everything. I'm studying it. Like, why are we doing this? Range, initiation, IPA, break a structure, comes back in, takes the liquidity. It's just too good to be true. Takes the liquidity from above here. They've done it again. They're doing it again. This whole thing is happening again. And so now, the moment we get that break in structure, the moment that candle drops, where am I entering? Open. I just go for open. I don't even care about getting my stop safe above the top. But why? Because why don't I care in this instance about getting my stop safe? I want you to answer that, not me. Me answering it is pointless. You answer. Why don't I care about my stop on this one? Getting it way up here. Why have I not got my stop up here? I'll tell you what I see. Let's actually use this tool. Where's the bulk of the orders? Right here. What is one candle up and one candle down? A wick. This is a wick. There are very few orders in here. I don't have to bring out a volume price analysis tool to see. I don't have to analyze where the point of control is in this range to see that or to know that. I can literally just see based on where all of these orders are. You can even see it over here. This is just wick. This isn't where we're going to come back to. This is just wick. This is not where we're going to come back to. We can come back here, just spike and come back, but it's unlikely. It's not necessary. Where are we going to come back to? The orders, all the orders. So price comes back in, and immediately I take it at the open. I'm filled. Lo and behold, I'm gone. This was break even for me. Unfortunate, but it was break even. This sell primary has had a reaction. Where's the reaction? Once we broke structure here, it came back in, and that was the reaction. We had a reaction already from this sell primary. Do I need another reaction? Why does price need to come into it again to take more liquidity high up above? It's not a bullish action. It's not a bearish action, is it? If it comes in, takes more liquidity from this area, in my opinion, it's bullish. So there's no need to come back here. Yes, we do have, this is the last known range initiation, and most likely we broke structure on stuff, right? Something here, let's see, did it? Yeah, broke structure right there. So range initiation, break structure. It could be wanting to create a new primary and come up here, but if they're going to do that, I want to get out anyway, because if they're going to come above all of this, I want to be out. And so I'm not willing to take any more risk. So I go break even right here. Hindsight, and this is something actually I think I will introduce into my trading, perhaps not straight away. I'll definitely test this and be on the lookout for this. But I really like the idea of this. If I'm in an entry like in this position ever again, which I 100% will be, I've got my sell range here. Just delete that for a second. I want to put my stop above that sell range, right? Because why? I expect this range to hold. We've initiated a way, we've created inefficient price action. We know that price likes to fill it. And where is my absolute stop? It should be here. This is where I should be putting my stop, right there. Instead, I would put it as break even. And that's my hindsight. It's not that I'm going to just quickly change and that's all my new process or anything like that. It's not at all. And it's, you know, I'm following intention. My intention was fucking correct. So a win. This is a win right here. I don't care who the fuck is looking at this video and it's going to tell me because I didn't bank, I didn't win. I won today because I actually caught intention correctly. And if I keep catching intention correctly, guess what? 10 Rs are going to be popping out the window. So we're all good. Let it play out. Here is that where I hindsight wish I had my, I'm not even going to say wish, I'm just going to say should have potentially, maybe this is something I could do in the future, is put my stop above the last known RIMC with IPA, break structure, and all the rest of it. Now, so that formed, and then we had this little doohickey occur. Range, initiation, no breaker structure, weak liquidity, right? It's grayed out for a reason, because it's weak. They came in, they took the liquidity right from above it and mitigated, you know, this sort of area here. I'm been taken out already, unfortunately, and then boom, they initiate away. I'm not willing to get involved with this, and I'm actually happy I didn't get involved with this one. I mean, it could have turned out to a 10R, probably would have, or, you know, I didn't even look, but I'm not going to get in on things that don't feel right to me. And this didn't feel right. This felt fishy. This felt like liquidity stacking for up and top and below, right? And so I wrote this is a fishy. The range, this range right here, did not break structure and it could become liquidity. So I'm not going to play off of it, meaning I'm not playing off the sell primary, even though the sell primary actually does come into play here, I think immediately, right? Where would I have wanted my entry if I was playing it? Right above liquidity. That's where I would have placed it. But what are sell primaries? Remember this. What is a sell primary? It's a RIMC. It's a RIMC. It's what I expect to have a range initiation, mitigation, and continuation. I don't need for price to come and take liquidity. I just need it to have a reaction. And then it's down to me to understand what if that reaction, the reaction, or is there going to be more? And then you can use price action to give you clues as to whether that's occurring or not. So you could see here, we got this, these could be range candles here, range initiation, break the structure, comes back up, takes liquidity, break structure. You know, this is like a lower time frame primary that's been filled in here. I just didn't want to take this because of the fishiness. If this had a broke structure down here, I'd have been in all day long. I even flicked to a different data provider. I'm on Oanda. And I flicked to a different data provider just to see if there was any kind of breaker structure here, because we are on a 15 seconds and sometimes they differ. But they didn't. Let's get out of replay mode. We do not need to be in replay mode. Okay, so that would have worked out beautiful for a 10R. And if this one had have done something, right, done something like here, broke this structure down here, I would have played this as a range and potentially gotten some sort of an entry. I don't know where it would have been, but I potentially would have gotten an entry. So anyway, price is initiating away. I think now we actually skip to our buys because, did I get a buy? Let's see. Where was my buy entries I was looking for? No, it's over here. Okay, so we're still selling. We're still sells, right? So I'm still looking for sell, and I see this range initiation, and I see them coming up and creating a new sell primary. They break structure, and I see this one first reaction. I see it sort of land right down here, and I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? Is that enough of is that a reaction? Yes, it came out of an order block in here that broke structure. Is that though, you know, the liquidity's all stacked here. And so I just took a risk entry right here and got popped almost immediately from it. So I took a loss there, unfortunately, but it was the changing of hands. We took out a sell primary. And so now I can look for longs, right? If we're taking out sell primaries, guess what? We're looking for longs because all the live long day, because something's occurring. And so it's at this point where I'm over here on my buy side, and I've already got this checked out and everything, but look at this, buy primary and another buy primary on top of each other. And we've had very little time like that's really come back spent inside this buy primary, both of them. So I'm expecting these two to be quite reactive. And so as I'm seeing this sort of reaction and seeing that um, a sell primary got taken out, here's the sell primary, buy to sell, break structure, and it was right here. I'm like, okay, immediately I come over here and I go, well, look, we're reacting out of a buy primary now. Let's see if we can enter. Sure enough, range, initiation, break a structure. They come back in. They take liquidity, mitigate an order block. Not a transitional this time, right? It's just a regular old order block that we can see quite clearly. They initiate higher prices, and I'm just trying to get in under liquidity. I always want to enter under liquidity, and so I'm trying to find an entry. Didn't get tagged, no big deal. This was a little unfortunate. This was sort of me just being a bit cocky, I think, really. 15 seconds, very tight, small range, break a structure, comes back in, break a structure over to the left-hand side, comes back in, forms what I thought was this a buy primary, and then initiates prices away. I just wanted to enter anywhere on this, so I made sure my stop was okay, and then we went for it. I got in, I got taken out immediately. So a couple of losses today, 3 losses I think it was, a break even and 2 losses. No big deal at all, but it's, following intention and understanding the market is really what's going on. And to be able to see like price bounce out of these and understand this is a great place to go long from, all of this is really adding to my experience, and I'm really enjoying how I'm seeing the market lately and being able to read the market. Let's have a little look at this and potentially why it wasn't such a good entry. I didn't fabricate this, but I made this. I feel like I forced this one. This range right here that broke structure, how did it break structure? Nibbled structure just slightly, pulled back down into the range, right? And then they kind of did a little up-down thing. This isn't the kind of range break structure that I'm really interested in having taken out as liquidity. This should be really what I feel like I should be looking at. And this range here, I don't know, it just doesn't hit quite right. It doesn't hit the same. This range initiation, and if this was the break-in structure and then this came back down and did it all, yes, maybe then. And then look at this as well, the liquidity grab on it. It doesn't matter if it's an inch or a mile, but this is it's just very tight. This is just a very tight sort of reactive sort of range here. And it's not the cleanest setup by any means. So I'm not really in love with that trade whatsoever. I took it really more out of FOMO, wanting to, I had some couple of losses and whatnot, and wasn't able to sort of secure that trade. And another thing I want to point out as well on the sell side of things here was this trade. Once I gotten taken out, I had a clear feeling, distinct knowing that I wanted this to fail. I did not want price to come down here to hit 10R. I wanted all of this to fail. I wanted this to be a fishy order block. I wanted everything to be like I had analyzed it correctly. And I think that got me really caught me into a bad state of mind, which didn't help for this trade here. And then immediately I stopped trading. Immediately, as soon as this happened, I stopped trading because I saw what I'd done, and I realized this is such a lower time frame thing that I was looking to do. It just didn't make sense. Where were we reacting out of as well? That was another thing. If I was paying attention, where were we reacting out of? Oh, a sell primary. None of it made sense when I really thought about it after the loss. I just thought, what a shitty trade. But here's something of interest, right? So we slam down through it. We slam up above it. What does that create? Let's say this is a primary. I mean, it is. It's lower time frame primary, but now it becomes transitional. What does that mean? We're going to mitigate it. We're going to mitigate it. It doesn't matter if we mitigate through it like this. It doesn't matter if we're going to pull up and use it as a bouncing point. We're just going to mitigate it. It's what we do, right? And so higher time frame real quick. Here's that 1 hour. What's this done? Fired through it, fired down. This is the transitional, remember, you guys and girls, whoever's watching this. This is that buy primary that's become transitional. What we're going to do, we're going to spend time mitigating in and out of it. And here's exactly what's happening right now. We spent time mitigating in and out of it. So whenever you see price fly through a range, just know it's coming back for it. And when they fly through one way and then the other way, I don't believe it's an indication of any kind of direction or anything like that. I haven't been able to ascertain that sort of knowledge, but I do to try and get all my words out. I do expect a reaction from the zone, and those reactions are kind of areas in which case you can then, let's say we've analyzed this and we actually think we're now selling. This is the high. Now we know we've got a transitional coming up, and we're going to be likely to work through it. Can a sell primary, low time frame sell primary form within that area? If it does, boom, we know we're in, right? It's a good place to sort of get an entry because price is likely to hang up here for a second, and we can analyze, we can figure it all out. So, whew, there you go. That's my trading day. I'm completely done for the day. I won't be trading anymore. It was interesting. It was good. I feel like I did okay. Not the best performance. Obviously would have liked to have held this or figured out that, had my stop in a different place. It didn't. It's okay. I'm learning, and my understanding of the market is still excellent, and I'm enjoying that aspect of it. So looking forward to more trades coming up this week. Hope everyone is smashing it. Hope everyone is making the most R they can possibly make from the market, and I hope you guys are having an absolutely blessed day. Thank you so much, and love, and aloha.